Let's have a program. We tell you how to fix it.
Oh, I gotcha.
And no, we don't rent toilet augers either because we don't want the darn things back. We sell them,
What else you got for us, Tony?
Well, first of all, I really called to talk about Heidi and Spencer and torture, but I just wanted to say something real fast. John Maynard Keynes is well known to have been something of a sexual deviant. He kept sex diaries, one of which is encoded. He liked to photograph young boys. And I think the whole idea of stealing from the future of someone else for your own perverse gratification kind of carries through into his economics. However, having said that, I saw that Heidi and Spencer were claiming torture, and so the whole time that I was hearing this, I was thinking it was over something I actually saw on that show in which they literally waterboarded the contestants.
What was that? On Celebrity Get Me Out of Here?
Yes. One of the challenges, they had an octagon with the little teeter boards attached to the side of like an octagonal baby pool filled with spiders and snakes. They had people on an incline board with their head lower than their chest. They had them in goggles and a protective jumpsuit, and snakes and spiders crawling all over them. And John Sally's there, trash-talking people. Go ahead, quit. You don't want to quit. And I'm like, well, this is the usual spiders and snakes reality show garbage. But then the pool starts filling up with water, and it gets all the way up to their nose. And once it got up to the nose, nobody lasted longer than 2 or 3 seconds. Sanjaya from American Idol won.
Oh, he ended up with that? My God.
Sanjaya can get waterboarded apparently more than Janice Dickinson and whoever else.
Well, Alex Jones would tell you that this is just the standard dehumanization of a culture. It's getting you desensitized to this sort of thing. He wasn't a big fan, even though he's had Joe Rogan on the program and they're friends. He wasn't a big fan of some of the things they did on there, especially when they were taking metal spikes and throwing them through there. And this waterboarding debate has really just gotten out of control. I thank you for the call. It is quite obvious that this is torture, Mr. Dacy.
Well, the television is torture. I mean, the stuff that they put on the air nowadays is just complete and total garbage. It's meant to make us think like we're a bunch of animals, and it appeal to our prurient side. I really liked Leave It to Beaver, and I like Father Knows Best, and I like Gilligan.
I was a Dennis the Menace guy, maybe a little Mork and Mindy.
Well, a little bit.
Munsters.
Whatever happened to Andy of Mayberry? Whatever happened to the decent shows? The vast majority of what's on TV now is total garbage.
Well, what's your take on pop culture and what's on the television and shows like this where they are, dehumanizing people to desensitize them to things like torture and waterboarding?
They're trying to turn us into what they think we are.
Well,
that's basically it. They're trying to turn us into what they think we already are.
Well, just lovely. Let's go to Rob in New Jersey. Rob, you're on the line.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
Basically, I heard a caller earlier calling about thinking about the military gearing up for something. I have prior service in the past and was discharged for not being MLS qualified within 24 months, federal law.
Okay.
And basically, I received the email within the week, and it basically said, you can join back in, don't have to go to MEPS, you don't have to do nothing, you can go right in, pick a job, and go to your schooling, and basically I found that
they're desperate to recruit as many people as possible into the military. We just had that caller earlier saying that people who were accused of small and petty crimes, and I thank you for the call, they were making sure that they'd signed in for selective service. We also know people, they'll try to send you to shock camp or say, hey, join the military after you've done something stupid like use drugs or sold drugs to others. And they're having a tough time selling this military to people because we're still in Afghanistan, we're still in Iraq, and we're still beating the war's drum against Iran.
Speaking of that, Jason, I just have to say this. I had a young man in my store yesterday. He had just joined the Marine Corps. Nice guy, really nice guy, and he was all proud. And he was a private first class in the Marine Corps, and we were talking, and I just had to bring up this Obama thing about the major whose orders to go to Afghanistan got revoked because he wanted to sue the president to make him prove that he's actually qualified to be president because he won't pony up his birth certificate. And we got to talking about that, and I was thinking how I was kind of at two minds about talking to him about it, because what I told the young man is, he listened and he understood the constitutional problems involved in a commander-in-chief who's a fraud, possibly, or won't prove that he's qualified to be president. But I told him, I said, listen, son, the Marine Corps is a great thing. You just do your job. You be a good Marine. This is way above your pay grade. So absorb it maybe, but just stay out of it. Because the Marines are, my dad was a Marine, my granddad was a Marine, my uncles were Marines. They're all Marines, and it's a shame what they're doing.
Yeah, no, how they manipulate military personnel.
Yeah. And they think they're out there to protect the United States and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and they're being manipulated into doing something which is the exact opposite. It's so sad on a personal level.
Bob Chapman, I want to get your take on what's happening in the Middle East and what your forecast is. We just had this big bombing in Indonesia. They're not saying who's responsible yet, but I haven't been watching the news wires. I'm sure they're going to blame Al-Qaeda or Al-Qaeda-like insurgents. Do you see an escalation in the activity there, or do you think it's just going to kind of taper off into the background and we're going to just continue to conduct operations in Afghanistan and Iraq?
Hard to say. And I think it probably would taper off. And the problem is not only the occupation of Iraq and the continual bombings, but also the service that we are in Afghanistan, which I think stands a very, very good chance of going into Pakistan. And so I think
well, we're already conducting operations in Pakistan. Let's talk about that for a minute. I mean, you can't now hit the news wires for less than 2 or 3 days without finding out that we used a drone attack to kill 40, 50, or 60 people, and it's always their insurgents. Let's be real about this. They're killing families, they're killing neighborhoods. When you're killing 40, 50, or 60 people at a time, it's not always an insurgency camp or a Al-Qaeda center or a Taliban terrorist training facility. The majority of the times, they're targeting the regular populace, and we had this come out, I think, about a month ago, where they were paying, quote-unquote, another insurgent to take little microchips, small little microchips the size of a grain of rice, and then throw them into, quote-unquote, other insurgents' homes, and then a missile would be guided in by that microchip, and the guy said, well, they were paying me $122 every time they'd give me a handful, so I was just putting them anywhere. I mean,
and I believe that, and this is the kind of thing that government uses to extend warfare if they want to do so. And they are going to continue in Pakistan. Where else they'll go, Iran or North Korea or wherever, remains to be seen. But one thing you can be assured of is that in very, very troubled economic and financial times, history tells us that a war has always begun a bigger war than we already have. And so that's what I think we got to look forward to. And incidentally, I have to mention something I mentioned with Ted last night on Butch Pau's program, and that is I had on Drew Rain's Blog Talk show, I had a colonel who had just come back from Afghanistan, and he said that they had 4 British sovereigns sewn into their uniform, and he had to bail out of his plane. And when he hit the ground and pulled in his parachute, lo and behold, there was some locals there, and he took out a sovereign and handed to them, and they took him to some camel herders who, when he met them, he gave them a sovereign, and they all smiled, and took him to a village, and in the village he gave him a sovereign, and they took him to his unit. And so the moral of the story is, he who has the gold makes the rules.
No, absolutely, and that is, again, a currency that transcends, destinations, places, actual regions. I mean, gold and silver are not regional currencies. They are universal currencies. They have been used since the beginning of time, and, well, civilized time anyway, and they've retained their value. How can people get gold and silver right now, Mr. Chapman?
Oh, they call Midas. That's the best place to go. And they'll take care of you, in a hop, skip, and a jump. And they'll also give you a free introductory copy of the International Forecaster, and either a hard copy or an email copy. And you can do that by calling into 877-479-8178. That's toll free, 877-479-8178.
All right, let's take some more callers. Let's go to Matt in the United Kingdom. Matt, you're on the line.
How you doing, guys? Also mentioned I'm a PrisonPlanet.tv viewer, so they can give a wave here to the guys in the UK.
All right.
Hi, Jace, yeah. My point is basically about the Facebook thing in the UK. Obviously, you've seen that in the Daily Mail article. Now, my question is basically, is Facebook safe anymore? Because obviously they found out that it was out creating this party.
Well, let me tell you this. 2 years ago, I captured something that I'm going to be using in Invisible Empire. I've been wanting to do this New World Order picture for quite some time, really working on it hard, finalized the first third of my script. But 2 years ago, I was watching G4 TV, which is kind of like this techie kind of station for people that are into video games and pop culture and whatever. It's big with the younger kids. And all of a sudden I see how the FBI is now going to be patrolling MySpace.